Hello and welcome to the Grammaticus tutorial on Odd One Out. Today we're going to be looking at this popular type of question which often appears on the Lincolnshire GL non-verbal reasoning paper. Okay, let's consider what the question is asking us to do today. It says, in each of the rows below there are 5 figures. Find one figure in each row that is most unlike the other 4 and mark the answer on your answer sheet. So for each of these questions today, we're going to have to try and spot differences. Now, when we're trying to spot differences, it's important that we think about all of the patterns that we've learnt during our 11 plus journey. So we need to be thinking about things like shape, things like counting sides. If we've got arrows, the direction things are pointing. We might be looking at layering, rotation and reflection. All of those things come together in odd one out questions, so we have to have those all in mind. If you find it hard to remember those, it might be a good idea to have another little look at the sheet that you will have been given. I think everybody has got one of these in their folder on Google Drive, so you can have a little look at the sheet. You might want to keep it nearby while you're completing these questions so that you can always refer to it if you're having problems. Now it says also that we need to mark our answer on your answer sheet. Now you will find, along with the tutorials and along with the worksheets, you will find that there is a multiple choice answer sheet that looks a little bit like this. This is what we call a generic multiple choice answer sheet, so it can be used for all the question types that we're going to look at. Now you can see where I've got question type today, I've written odd one out, and I have 4 questions today that we're going to look at during this tutorial. So I have crossed out questions 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 and 10, but when you complete the worksheet, sometimes you may have 6 questions to complete, you may have 8, you may have 10, so you can use it for all the different tutorials and worksheets. Okay, let's consider the first question. So if you remember, we're looking for things that are different. Well, if we consider question 1, we can see that each figure here is made up of 3 layered figures, and it's made up of the same shape layered on top of each other, and we've got 3 of those in each cases. So that those are the same, it's not a difference, so I can't see a difference there. If I have a little look, I've got shape figure A, figure C, figure D and figure E all have straight sides and figure B doesn't. I can bear that in mind, but generally one having curved sides and one having straight sides isn't a massive reason for that to be the odd one out. Chances are there's going to be something else as well. Something my eye's drawn to is the shading, and I can see I have this dashed shading all the way through on each one. Now you can probably see that I'm running my pencil following it. And when I get onto B, my pencil moves in the other direction. It's different to when I'm doing that on A, C, D and E. And that tells me that B is going to be the odd one out, because B, I have the dashed lines going in a different direction. So I'm going to mark B there, and then I'm also going to make sure that I mark B on my answer sheet. Okay. Let's have a little look at question number 2. Now question number 2, I haven't got any shading on there. I just seem to have lots and lots of different shapes. Now what I often say is, if nothing's jumping out at you and you have shapes with what seems to be lots of different lines, if in doubt, count everything. So this time let's have a go at counting the number of lines we've got in each of these figures. When we're counting lines, it can be a good idea to make a mark on one of the sides, like I've just done, and then it ensures we don't count a line twice. So I'm going to start counting from this line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 lines on shape A. On shape B, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. Shape C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now straight away I can see that A and B have 6 sides. Shape C only has 5. When I get to D, and if I find out that this has got 6, I'm going to be quite confident that I've actually found the reason. So let's just check D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again 6 sides. And E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sides again. So we can see that this one, C, has got 5. That's going to be the odd one out. I'm going to now make sure that I transfer that information to my answer sheet. Now, from watching previous tutorials, I usually say, okay, make sure that you cross that number out. And I can see that although I recorded the answer to question 1 as B, I forgot to cross it out. So I'm just going to check my answer sheet, make sure that I did have it recorded as B, and then I'm just going to go back. Crossing the numbers out, the question numbers out, acts as a good check. Okay, let's have a little look at question number 3. Okay then, in question number 3, I have got a series of arrows. Now, looking at the arrows, I'm going to look at the arrowheads to start with, and I'm going to see if I can see anything with the arrowheads. Are the arrowheads different? Looking at them, no, they're all the same. Now I'm going to count the lines, and I can see all of those are the same. Now, when we've got arrows, it's always a good idea to think, okay, let's think about direction. Let's think about where the arrow's pointing to. Now, arrows A and B are both pointing up. One's pointing to the left and one's pointing to the right. Also, E is pointing to the left. D is pointing to the right and down. And C is pointing to the left and down. So I don't think this has got anything to do with the direction that the arrows are pointing. I can, however, though, see that each of these arrows with the 2 lines is creating an angle. It's creating an angle here, 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 and here. And when I look at those angles, I can see that I have 4 arrows that are making an acute angle. That's an angle that is less than 90 degrees. And I can see one over here where it's making an obtuse angle, where we have an angle greater than 90 degrees. Now, if we're in any doubt about that, we can get a piece of paper, and you will be given a piece of plain paper during your exam, and you can actually check and use the corner of that, which actually is a right angle. And if you have a little look, you can see with that piece of paper I've just placed there, that that angle there is greater than a right angle. So it's going to be an obtuse angle. So the odd one out is going to be letter A on there. So I'm going to mark that on my answer sheet. So that's 3A, and then I'm going to cross it off. Okay, then let's have a little look at question number 4. Okay, then on question number 4, I seem to have lots of squiggly lines on each of the figures. I'm going to have a quick scan across and see if there is anything that obviously jumps out at me. Now, you may have already spotted what the odd one out is on this question. I might consider sort of how many sort of almost like curvy bits that stick out I've got on, but I can see that they're all making very, very different shapes. I've almost got a C shape here, and I've almost got a C shape here, and a little bit of a C shape here, but I certainly haven't got it here, and I certainly haven't got it here. There isn't an awful lot to this shape apart from the outline of it, so I think that's something I've got to consider really closely. And if I have a little look, I can see that I have a straight line here on E. So that makes that one the odd one out. So I'm going to circle that, and then I'm going to fill in question 4 on my answer sheet. So that's going to be 4E. Okay, now that concludes our tutorial on odd one out. Thank you very much for watching. You can now have a go at completing the worksheet that accompanies this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.